I apologize to everyone for the delay in starting. It wasn't due to Nancy or anybody else who's here. Everybody, please accept our apologies. I've given our distinguished President and Chief Operating Officer a present of a MetroCard because a MetroCard bake, MetroCard cookie to thank him for remaining here so patiently. Do we have any public speakers? He looks familiar. Murray. Murray.
Henry Hudson Parkway toll booth revisions. It could be done much cheaper and much better. There are 2 lanes of traffic coming in. There should be only 2 easy pass lanes, no more. There should be no signs over the easy pass lanes. The last sign should be halfway up the bridge. The one thing you don't want is people making last-minute changes. Move the signs back. There's no way that putting the sign over the toll booth helps. Of course, what happens if one breaks? You have one next door. Wrong. Richard Feynman would say, redundancy, put one right next to the other, in line, on the same lane, so that if one breaks, the second one operates. You don't want the redundant one in the other lane. You want it in the same lane. If there's an accident on a bridge, you close the lane. If you have to repair it at night or when it's not busy, close the lane. The left lane is a cash-only lane. How do you separate a cash-only lane? If you go to the manual uniform traffic control devices, it's a dotted line. You use it on the top lever to separate the Capoc exit. Wherever you want a cash-only lane, you put in a dotted line. It tells the driver, this lane is different. And when you want to stop cross traffic, use a double solid white line. That means don't cross it. Now you put those toll readers there, you created a whole new structure up there, a waste of money. Because you've got a whole bridge there, you could have put the things on. They didn't have to be on a separate overhead. Right on the bridge itself. 2 in a line. So if you want to save money, you have to begin to look at things a little differently. Chris Christie stopped the ARC tunnel. I wondered why. Because he didn't have a cost overrun. You're wasting money because you built an unnecessary support mechanism. You're wasting money because you built extra toll lanes. You want only 2 lanes going through. 2 lanes coming in, 2 lanes coming out. No mergers on the other side, because as soon as you have people merging, you're creating the opportunity for an accident. It's 1 lane going straight through, everywhere, without a sign above it, without a light above it. Time to look at things differently.
We thank you, Murray, for your helpful suggestions as always, and for your succinctness. Do we have any changes in the work plan?
Yes, we do. We'll be presenting an MTA customer survey to the committee.
All right. Other than that, that's the only change? Does anybody have any additions or corrections to the minutes of our last meeting? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve them. All in favor? If you are still patient and with us, Mr. Ferrara?
As we move on, page 13, David would give the report on operations.
Thank you, Jim. Good morning. Good afternoon. I'll be very brief, and if you have any questions, you could please ask. In October, we had 25.5 million crossings, which was almost 450,000 higher than the prior year. Easy Pass crossings for the month were up 3.8%. Cash crossings were down 4.5%. Looking at November, the preliminary numbers are 23.9 million crossings, which is almost 400,000 higher than the prior November. And that's a summary of my report. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Who's next?
Easy Pass performance. Spiro.
Okay. The Easy Pass report begins on page 25. Our market share in September was 77.1%, which is the highest we've ever had. It's higher than the previous month, which was the previous highest. The RFK Whitestone and the QMT continue to be the facilities that we see the biggest increases at. More than 13,700 EasyPass accounts were opened during September, bringing the year-to-date total to more than 132,000, about 26,000 more than last year at the same time, and more than 2,800 of the accounts opened in August were EasyPass on the go. And that concludes the EasyPass report. I will move on to the financial plan if there are no questions, and I'm actually going to basically skip over the financial plan and go straight to the budget presentation. Except on the financial plan, I will make the point that for October, our total revenue was up for the month, and year-to-date, our expenses are down about 5%, and our support to mass transit was up more than 7% year-to-date.
Doesn't anybody have any bad news yet?
We're trying to avoid that.
Never with this. Well done.
All right. For the budget, I think this first slide, if you've been in other committees today, you've already seen we're clearly contributing to the necessary cost cutting going on across the MTA, and we have no budget-driven service cuts this year, and our toll increase will go into effect on December 30th at 2 a.m. Next slide covers some of our key service statistics. Gives you a sense of what we're doing. We're projecting traffic at 293 million vehicles this year, which will be up slightly from the previous year when it reached 291.4. As you know, it's been a very good year for EasyPass. Year-to-date, our market share is better than 75%. We're also up to about 2 million accounts and 3.4 million tags through October, both up more than 5% from where we were a year ago. And then below that, you see some of our key maintenance department indicators. These also are year-to-date numbers through October. I think they're pretty self-explanatory. Tunnel cleaning refers to tunnel ceilings and walls cleaning. Clearly, a lot of work's carried out each day at the facilities, and I think these numbers reflect that. This slide focuses on some of the key initiatives that we plan to carry out in 2011. Of course, the biggest one is the Henry Hudson pilot that we've been talking to you about. We hope to have a gateless EasyPass system in operation by the time we meet next month. We hope to have an AET system up and running at the Henry Hudson in about a year. And of course, we'll continue to keep you informed as we move forward during 2011. Some of the other things we're focusing on in 2011 is that we want to continue our efforts to increase our EasyPass market share. We will first of all be expanding EasyPass on the go this year. We're reaching out to gas stations, drugstores, additional convenience stores, and the like to encourage them to sign up and sell the tags. Also, in the run-up to the toll increase, we'll be advertising the availability of on-the-go tags as part of our message to choose EasyPass and save money on the toll. The other big EasyPass initiative we have is the cash reload card for EasyPass customers. Under this program, which we expect to begin this summer, customers who want to replenish their EasyPass accounts with cash will be sent a card that is linked to that account. They'll be able to take that card to one of about 2,000 retail stores in the region, either hand the card to a clerk or use a self-service kiosk and replenish their account with $20 or more in cash. Today, if you want to reload your EasyPass account using cash, you need to go to one of the 3 customer service center stores in the region. There's one in Staten Island, one in Whitestone, Queens, one in Yonkers, but for many people those are not that convenient. So we think this card will encourage many customers who now pay cash in the lane, either because they don't have a credit card or they don't want to link their credit card to the EasyPass account. We think this will encourage them to join the 75% of our customers who already use EasyPass to pay their tolls. And over the next few months, as we move closer to implementation, we'll be briefing you in more detail. Yes.
If you do not mind linking your EasyPass account to a credit card, can you reload it online?
I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry.
Because you can do that with a lot of transit cards around the country, and it makes sense for an EasyPass to be able to be reloaded that way as well.
Do you know what the top of your head? I can't remember. I believe he can. I believe he can, but let me get back to you for
All
sure.
right, thanks.
The next bullet refers to variable message signs. The initiative we have in 2011 in this area is that by the end of February, or at least by the end of the first quarter, I probably should say, we expect to be providing travel time information via these signs in both directions at the Verrazano, the Throgs Neck, and both RFK plazas. These signs will provide the customer with estimated travel times for routes that they may be taking. For example, at the VN, we'll have a sign that tells the customers the average time to the Belt Parkway via the upper level. At the Throgs Neck, we hope to have a sign that tells the customers the average time to JFK via the Cross Island. We also hope to have comparable routes wherever possible, so a customer can make a decision. For example, if he's going to the George Washington from the Throgs Neck, to use either the Bruckner-Deacon or the Cross Bronx. And we will keep you informed of that initiative also as we move ahead with it. And finally, on this page, on the capital slide, we'll be committing almost $700 million, approximately $700 million in 2011. Two of the biggest projects are the Bronx Whitestone, the replacement of the Queens Approach, and the Verrazano, where we'll begin major work on the east and westbound ramps and the eastbound toll plaza. I think this next slide you've seen as part of the July plan, so I won't spend a lot of time on it. Just the two major initiatives I want to point out are reduced overtime, which we've been very successful at, as well as the organizational assessment and the scheduling efficiencies that we put into place last year. And it's really that initiative that has been a big part of our ability to reduce overtime. So those savings will recur in 2011. We don't expect any bounce back up. And finally, the next slide. This is basically the numbers slide. These are 2011 non-reimbursable expenses. Labor makes up about 55% of our budget. It's not on the slide, but our expenses are down about $4.6 million against the July plan, mostly on the labor side. Year to year, our non-reimbursable projected expenses are actually down about $7 million, which is actually quite unusual because there's always uncontrollable or mandated increases that are part of any budget. So despite those increases, we still have a net reduction year to year. Our 2011 non-reimbursable headcount is down about 2.5% versus the 2010 budget, that 1602 number, and about 8% against our 2009 actual headcount. And finally, the support to mass transit, $800 million is projected in 2010, which is about $60 million more than the previous year.
The $200 million that agency-wide we're looking to reduce, how much of it's going to come from D&T?
Up to $200 million that in the
first slide, you had $500 million that we've done in the past, $200 million additional reduced.
Right.
How much are we expecting to bring down the cost within the B&T?
We reduced our budget in July about $45 million for 2010, about $70 million in 2011. I don't believe all of that necessarily fits into that $200 million. Some of it was re-estimates, some of it is a budget reduction program. Our budget reduction program specifically is in the $25 million range.
As I understand it, we are required to move to finance B&T's 2010 November forecast,
Yes, you are.
the 2011 final proposed budget, and the 4-year financial plan. Are we supposed to do all that today?
Yes.
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 In 10 minutes. I move it.
It's just that's one vote.
Anybody have any more questions after that excellent summary? By the way, we are so proud, all of us, of this senior staff. You are innovative, efficient, to the point, and very effective. We are just all enormously proud of you, even though you used to be here. But you weren't tainted by that experience.
Okay.
All in favor of the 3 budgetary action items? Any opposed? All right, we've done it.
Right to the customers.
Customer satisfaction survey. I will try to briefly go through this.
We have to do procurement
As well.
too, don't we?
Yeah.
All right, we'll do customer satisfaction and finish with procurements.
Right. I think most of you have seen the presentations for the other committees on this as well, so I'm going to skip through the first several pages except for a quick stop on slide 3, if you could stop on there. This shows the scale that's used to measure overall satisfaction, which gives you context for the scores that you'll be seeing. Now, if you can skip ahead to slide 6. This is the overall customer satisfaction for us. We did very well, as you can see, at 81%.
No other agency had anything in the 90s, and I can't even remember one in the 80s. That's pretty good.
Yeah, we're pretty happy with these scores. I'm at 81% is the overall, and for each area, as you know, we're well into the satisfactory range, with EasyPass performance scoring the highest, and lighting, appearance, and cleanliness, safety, and security also scoring extremely well. This shows overall customer satisfaction by facility. 7 of the 9 facilities scored at least as well as the 81% overall average. The Throsnick and the Whitestone were a little below that, but they both had ongoing construction during the survey period, and we believe that is the reason why they scored relatively low. Every time we've done a survey over the years, any time a facility has construction going on, they tend to get the lower scores.
Were these random interviews only with families of B&T employees?
No, it's a statistically significant sample. The ease of crossing slide, I think the overall message here is that people are generally satisfied with the way traffic moves, especially during non-rush hour periods. During rush hours, of course, while we're still within the satisfactory range for the most part, people tend to be less patient and probably a little less happy as they're trying to get to work or get home. So I think these scores reflect that. There's another ease of crossing slide that follows. You can see this one almost mirrors the overall satisfaction scores by facility, which again shows you that the construction at the Whitestone and Throsnick drove that down. You can see the 2 facilities at the 95-91, they have the least traffic and they got the highest scores, which is not a coincidence, we don't believe.
What's the issue with the horizontal?
There was some construction there too during June, I believe. Correct, Joe? Yes. The safety and security, we scored overall over 90% in this area. Customers seem to feel very safe and secure when they take our bridges and tunnels, which is really a reflection of the operations and maintenance, the engineering staff who work there and have the interaction with the customers each day. I won't go through each of these attributes. Moving on to next slide, information and communication. Again, while we're in the satisfactory range for each of these attributes, I think it's one thing we want to try to focus better on this year. We're hopeful that one of the initiatives I mentioned in the budget presentation, the providing travel time information on the barrel message signs will help in this area. We also will be working to promote the expanded use of email alerts, which started this year. We're also promoting the use of the website as a means for customers to get information about what traffic conditions are, construction is going on at the facilities, and we're considering convening focus groups of customers to get some feedback about what type of information they'd like to receive from us. Next slide is EasyPass. This is one of our favorite slides. Shows that everybody really likes EasyPass, as you can see. 94% overall rating. Scores very high almost across the board. I think the one thing I'd like to point out that is somewhat lower is the locations of the walk-in centers. It's 75%, and we are very hopeful that the cash reload card that I spoke about earlier will help us bring that score up. And I think the final slide is pretty much just a summary. I think I mentioned most of these things. The only thing I didn't mention was, of course, we have a policy that we try to meet whenever possible of scheduling major construction during off-peak hours, and as a means to get people through the plazas easier. And that concludes this presentation. If there's any further questions.
Any questions about what our alleged customers think? Thank you very much. Do we have procurements left?
Procurements, Tony?
Yeah, thank you, Jim. Good afternoon. There are 7 procurements this month totaling about $14.551 million. There are no non-competitive procurements. There are 7 competitive procurements, the first 3 of which are personal service contracts. Starting on page 70, one is with Hacks Engineers, Architects, and Land Surveyors, P.C. to provide construction management and inspection services for Project BB45, replacement of switchgear and power distribution system at the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, in the amount of $4,704,931 over a duration of 4 years, 2 months. The next is with Hardesty & Hanover, LLP, who will provide construction management and inspection services for Project HH10, replacement of the upper-level curb stringers and roadway lighting at the Henry Hudson Bridge, in the amount of $2,920,365 for a period of 3 years, 1 month. The third is with HNTB Corporation to provide design and construction support services for Project MPO6, substructure and underwater work at the Marine Parkway Gil Hodges Memorial Bridge for a period of 3 years, 8 months at a cost of $2,034,545. Next are 2 miscellaneous service contracts starting on page 67 in your books. One is with Long Life Truck and Auto Spring Company, Inc. for scheduled and unscheduled maintenance, repairs, and inspections for approximately 187 light-duty vehicles in the amount of $70,400 over a 3-year period. The other item on page 68 is with NPA Computers, Inc. to provide labor, materials, and equipment to maintain and repair printers and digital scanners in the amount of $40,250 over a duration of 2 years. If you please turn to page 76, there are 2 modifications to public work contracts. One is a modification to a group of 7 contracts to add funding in the aggregate amount of $4 million for miscellaneous construction on an as-needed basis at various facilities. Firms under this contract are invited to competitively bid on work orders that address specific construction needs. The other, on page 77, is a modification to a contract with American Bridge Company in the amount of $780,397 for additional work under contract TBB Task 39C52077, miscellaneous structural improvements at the RFK Bridge. There are no ratifications. Are there any questions?
Any questions on the procurements?
Just one. The American Bridge contract, so the scope of the work has changed, and that's why you need the additional $780,000?
Yeah, it's not really, it's just additional work. Essentially, there are steel repair requirements, and there was not enough funding available for the pedestrian railing, so we needed to add funding, and we negotiated a good amount for the funding that was required for the pedestrian railing piece.
Was the pedestrian railing piece envisioned in the original?
Oh, yes, it was in the scope to begin with.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
The HH consulting contract.
Okay.
It just strikes me that this is pretty pedestrian work, and wonder why it is that you feel the need to get outside consultants to oversee fairly routine construction operation.
Well, it's a matter of routine as far as our procurements. When we have construction contracts, we certainly have to have a force or a team that would be in a position to monitor the construction contractor's activity. It's just a matter of,
Say, why wouldn't you have in-house people do that?
Jim, I can talk to that, please. In our reorganization and downsizing of MTA Bridges and Tunnels, the engineering department was downsized considerably. This contract reflects the fact that we do not have the in-house resources to do construction management. However, with that, myself with Joe, we're looking at certain contracts that we can manage in-house now that we're downsized to see what we actually can do and can't do. So if that's somewhat of an answer to your question.
I presume that the net of it is that it's cheaper to outsource it than to do it in-house?
Now, not only is it cheaper, but the overhead cost for us is, it's less expensive for us to go outside for a particular construction management job such as the BB45 contract. It's an electrical overhaul of the entire Brooklyn Battery Tunnel. We don't have the qualified personnel to manage that kind of project. So wherever we can manage internally, we will seek to do in 2011. Where we can't, we usually go outside.
Thank you.
Any further questions on the procurements? Usually when we only have $14.4 million of procurements, we usually throw those back until they grow up. But since this is the last meeting of the year, I guess we'll call for a vote on it.
I move them.
All in favor?
Second.
Any opposed? Thank you very much.
And that's our presentation.
Any further business?
Chairman, I have
Yes, Mr.
one question.
Yes, Mitch.
As we all know, last week, the state legislature renamed one of our facilities for Governor Carey. And if you recall, the last time the state legislature did that, with the renaming of the Triborough Bridge for Robert F. Kennedy, there was a significant discussion and issue as to the actual cost of replacing the signs. There were estimates all over the place, many of which have now become folklore and are now included into newspaper articles regardless of whether they're true or not. And I had asked Jim, I called him last week when I saw that this was coming. And Jim, I was wondering if you could give us the number, the amount that TBTA spent to change the signs on the Triborough Bridge.
Absolutely, Commissioner. Materials are roughly $3,000. The labor, $25,000. For total cost, a little under $30,000. We manufacture overlaid types of signs. We did not replace signs in full, and we used in-house force on straight time and some overtime. Little under $30,000 total cost.
So the difference between the $30,000 number, which is what it cost us, and the $4 million number, which is always indicated in the newspaper articles, is a significant difference.
Absolutely significant.
Thank you, sir. And so I would assume that when we do the new signs for Governor Carey, it will come out around $30,000, maybe even less, because there are probably less signs at the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel.
The estimated cost has already been figured by our Chief Maintenance Officer. It will run about $25,000 with the same principles, using in-house force and materials and manufacturing the overlays.
I would think it would be a little less since the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel only has two ends. The Triborough has three ends.
Two ends at the moment. Thank you, sir.
At
I
the same
appreciate it.
time, the Triborough Bridge is being renamed, and the mayor has stated that all sign changes will be paid for by private funds. You might try that one on also. Have a happy holiday, everyone. Is there a motion to adjourn? All in favor? See you in 2011.
Thank you all.
Thank you.